which, you know, it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing, with a line straight ahead, hips, shoulders, and ears right over your shoulders. And just swing your arms around to loosen up your core and your shoulder girdle and your hip girdle. So just loosening up all that myofascial tissue, that connective tissue. So everybody do this with me. Let the arms swing around and let them slap against your body. Just hear that sound, like you're sounding the gong. Bong, bong. That's a wake-up call for the body. And let your shoulders relax and your arms just come around. This is like what you did as a kid when you'd put on your coat and you wouldn't put your arms in the sleeves and you'd sling the sleeves around. And that's warming up that deep muscle tissue and myofascial tissue. And then gently come to a stop. And the next exercise, and we're going to do as many as you feel comfortable doing. You can do this when seated or you can do it standing. I'll do both ways. So we're going to start with same side arm and leg, half angels. You can do angels like snow angels in the bed. We call them bed angels. Leg out, arm. And this is what I call same side arm and leg. Same side, same side. This is also an exercise for your brain. Yeah, you got to use it. So this time we're going to change to opposite arm and leg. So when I say opposite, you make that quick change to opposite arm and leg. Breathing in, lifting your ribs, your arm comes right by your ear. You're doing this with me, seated or standing. And then same side again. See how quickly you can change. So that's your agility, mental agility. How fast does that message get from your ears, you know, your sensations in the ears to your brain? Now opposites again, opposites. You should be getting a little warmed up, a little cardio work. If you're in a chair, going. You can do a lot more. Same side, opposite side, or both. And you can do this in the bed. Remember, bed angels, or you can do it on the floor. So taking your legs out as far as you can and arms up by your ears so your hands touch overhead. Let's do 3 more. 2, 1. All right. And the next one is, and you're going to do this with me, standing or seated. I'll start out seated and go to standing. March in place. Now keep your torso aligned. No leaning back in the chair. And no leaning back to lift your knee. It's just the knee coming up. So lift, 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 lift. Lifting your knee as high as you can. Keep doing that. Keep going. If you're standing by your chair, lift the knee so that your thigh is almost parallel to the floor or parallel to the floor. Lift and lift, loosening up the hip joint, strengthening your thigh muscles, your hamstrings, and your core muscles. Because when you lift your knee that high, you're actually using your core muscles and you're working your heart muscle because these are the larger muscles and they need the oxygen. All right, gently come to a stop. Then we're going to loosen up our ankles and strengthen so your feet are straight ahead. You can hold on to the back of the chair. Lift, straight up. And if you don't have to hold on, don't hold on. And slowly lower. Now I'm going to turn sideways. Lift your heels. Keep your tail tucked to body aligned. Slowly lower. Heels up. Hold. And go down very slowly.
Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it.
More. lift, and slowly lower. Here comes 4, lift the heels. And slowly lower, and feel the balance spread from your little toe to your big toe on the bottom of your foot. Not the toe part, but underneath the toes. Let's do 2 more. Lifting straight up, pushing your head up through the ceiling. So remember that hook that was in that picture? Lift your head up and push it through the ceiling. And lower. 1 more. Lifting the heels. Pause. See if you can go a little higher. And then slowly lower. The slow lower is very, very important. And then back to shake out your legs, shake out your feet. And then let's do a little circle around. So take your foot back, circle around on your toes. Nice if you have a pillow under your toes. And then go the other way. It's like you're digging a hole in the ground with your toe. About 8 in each direction. Then take the other one back, because what you're doing is loosening your ankle, your knee, and your hip joint, and going round in that circle. Your toe on the floor, but just moving it up through the ankle and the knee, and then reverse the direction. And then come back and place your feet in our proper alignment. So your toes are pointing straight ahead, not out to the sides, but straight ahead. Sense your body weight over your whole foot. Now shift forward just a little bit so that you feel more weight on your toes. And notice how your toes grip the floor when you do that. You don't want to keep your toes gripping. Habit, it's a coping mechanism for going off balance, because you're taking your head forward, your equilibrium or your vestibular center is saying, oh, we're falling. And so your toes will grip. If your toes grip all the time, that's going to keep you off balance and inhibit the information from your feet to your brain. Now go back on your heels a little bit more. Oh, oh, oh. Don't fall backwards, just feel yourself, going a little off balance. But you know, balance is a practice. So it's not about being still, it's about moving and allowing your body to sense and learn by doing. That's how we learn anyway. We learn by doing, not just by listening. So if you just sit there and listen to me do this and talk about it, you're not going to learn a thing about your body and balance. There's book learning and there's body learning. And strength and balance has to do with the body learning. Okay, so find that balance again, right over the center. Your knees are aligned with your ankles. Your hips are aligned over the center of each foot. Not ahead of your foot, but over the foot. Your rib cage is aligned over your hips, not in front. So a lot of times what we do is, everybody try this. When I say stand up straight, very often we lift our chest up. Well, that throws us off balance, compresses our spine. Now relax that and bring your ribs, like I mentioned last week, bring your ribs back in instead of out. So not sticking your chest out. And let your last 2 ribs, your floating ribs, be right in line vertically with your hip bone, that sticky outy part of your hip right here. It should be in the same vertical plane, not ahead of it, not behind it when you're slumping, but just in that vertical plane. Now that's an exercise. That's a practice, and you can practice that. Then the next thing to do is to get our head lined up, because when we do something weird that we've done for, 20, 30 years. It's not weird anymore. It's just what we do, but it does take its toll. So let's line up our head with our ears directly over our shoulders. I have on long earrings today, so I can sense when my ears are over my shoulder seam. Tucking your chin in, pulling it back in our head ramp. That's one of our exercises. And it's not lifting it up or dropping it down, it's straight back along that plane, even and parallel with the floor. Now, a good way to practice that, and you might try this if you've got a wall nearby, is to bring your body to the wall, place your hips on the wall, your feet are straight ahead, and imagine your belly button just below it, that's against the wall. Then your rib cage in the back is pressing against the wall. And then your shoulders, and then the back of your head. Not this way, not looking up, but that big bone across the back of your head, pushing back. So the line of your jaw is going to be parallel with the floor. And that's an exercise. And this way to practice that is to, well, of course, do it on a regular basis. Is just to be like this with your knees relaxed, arms hanging loosely at the side, and notice and be aware. And notice if you're holding your breath. That's not good. But it does mean that you're doing something that's different and your body is trying to figure it out. But let that inhale and exhale be an opportunity for your neuromuscular patterning to take that all in, because you're changing some habits just by doing that. And then when you step away, you may still be that way. I'll tell you this, when you start walking, that's when it starts to screw up. And so that's a very good way to practice your alignment, is to walk and to keep your alignment as you walk. So it's not a still pattern. But when you go on your walks and you're walking along, notice, are your feet going out to the side like this, like a penguin? Are you rocking from side to side? Well, that's putting a lot of pressure. So do notice in your practice of walking, that's part of your exercise. All right, so move your shoulders around a little bit. We're going to do one more exercise with the lower body, and then we're going to go to a corner, which you may not have one nearby, but stay in your chair, stand to sit. Now, you're going to do these every day. Start with 10, and you can do it different times of the day, 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. If you can work up to 50 in one pass, or at least 25, and then later on. So, aligning your body, sitting on the chair, and finding the height. Push down to come up, and go down. So, go with me now. You're going to fold and unfold. No hands. Sit. This is an exercise. It's one that you do many times during the day. It's a functional exercise. And notice what happens with your knees. If your knees collapse in, that's a sign of needing to strengthen inner outer thigh. And we did inner outer thigh work in the first session. So pushing down and letting your head go up. It helps to kind of gaze upwards because your action will follow where you're looking. Pushing down into the floor and coming up. I don't hear anybody going, ugh, yet. Let's do 5 more. 5, 4, shoulders relax, push down, pushing your head up, looking up. 1 more after this one, and there you go. Okay, little loosener. Cross that leg. And just breathe. So your outer hip area, maybe a little stretch. Those are your balance muscles on the side of your leg up into your hip from falling over to one side or the other. And you just challenge them. And then uncross and come over to the other side. Whenever you're doing a stretch movement, you want to be in that movement for about a count of 30. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but 1, 2, 3, about a half a minute. And you can support your knee if you want to, if it feels more comfortable, and you can relax, because the point is relaxing the muscles to get the maximum lengthening of the muscles, because they were contracted when you were going up and down. And then uncross. And then stretch your leg out on one side, and then reach down. Just put your hand on the mid-thigh. And look down at your toes.
Hey, I wonder if you thought about you last night.
Somebody's not me.
No.
And hand on your shin.
Why?
And then chin to your chest and roll up.
Well, let me tell you all the garbage. You can tell me all the garbage you know, and I'll tell you.
This one is stretched out and your knee is perfectly straight. Hand on your thigh, so your body weight is going over and pressing down. And then looking down at your toes, you can come down to your shin. Or not, you can stay right at your thigh, right here. But the bend is at your hip hinge. Then chin to your chest and roll up. And remember, your nose comes up last. That will keep your head coming up last, because it is the heaviest part of the body. And we want to be sure that it's supported when it comes up. Now, we're coming back to the upper body, shoulders, and the head. So sitting with your feet flat on the floor on the edge of your chair. Body is aligned, sitting just as it is standing. We're going to release some tension in the side of the neck, these muscles that support the head. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. But put your hand upside your head, above your ear. Sit up tall and push into your head, elbow out to the side, and stabilize your head. But look at your elbow and try your best to turn your head. This is an isometric exercise. So really push into your head, but try to turn your head around and look around towards behind you. But it's not happening because you're stopping it with your hand. And you do that for about a count of 10 and then release. And then when you let go, those muscles have released a lot of tension, and you can move a little farther around, looking behind you. Let's see how far you can look on the other side. So sitting, feet flat, and just in your alignment, not using your hand yet, just turn your head and cut your eyes behind you and see what you're looking at in your house. Notice what you're looking at. All right, that's your marker. Come back to the start, put your hand upside your head, nice and tall, lengthen your neck, in that head ramp. Try to turn your head, look at your elbow. Your hand is pushing into your head by your ear. Try your best to turn your head, but you can't, and you'll feel a little dynamic tension in your neck and shoulders. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. Dynamic tension is good. Then release your hand and turn your head and see how far you go beyond that point that you had to stop at before. Now that helps to increase your range of motion. So if you don't continue to do that, you don't own it anymore, you lose it. Remember, if you don't use it, you lose it. So a good way to practice that is just, looking at something. Don't just turn your head, look at something, because that informs your brain in a different way. and it will release the tension in your neck, in the back, into your shoulder, and in the front. Because we have a tendency to have this. That's our look, head thrust forward, instead of aligned and supported. Consequently, these muscles get very tight that support the heavy head. It weighs about 12 pounds. And when the muscles start to contract and get tight, this is what happens. And we start to have balance issues because our head is taking us forward. So that loosening and alignment is very important. It also relates to the upper chest and the shoulder girdles. So bringing your elbows together and your forearms touching like so, and then open and close. Your elbows are shoulder level, elbow shoulder level. And that releases tension, and it'll make you aware. If you can't get your elbows together, the awareness is, I'm tight in my shoulders. And loosening the shoulder girdle will give you access to muscles to support your heavy head. Also, you can hang in a doorway or hold on to the back of your chair and pinch your shoulder blades together like you're trying to crack a walnut between your shoulder blades, and release, and then give yourself a hug, and do that about 8 times. So pinching your shoulder blades, cracking that walnut, and then giving yourself a hug. And then check yourself out when you do that again and see if you've got better range of motion. Now here's another exercise in the corner. I'm in the corner. I don't know if you can tell that this is a corner, but I'm standing up very tall. My elbows are shoulder level. And this is an isometric exercise, pulling your chin in. Now push your elbows into the wall. This is another one like the one we did with the head, turning our head. Push your elbows into the wall. Now don't collapse, don't lock your knees, just to be nice and tall with relaxed knees, and keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, and you'll feel a dynamic tension between your upper body and in your core as well. And then release and move your shoulders around, move them around, circular movements, move your arms in a circular movement. That innervates the shoulder muscles. And then do that a couple more times. You want to hold that, pretend I'm in a corner, you want to hold that tension, that dynamic good tension, for a count of at least 12 with your shoulders down, not like this, shoulders down. And if you need to get a mirror in front of you, do that. Find a place. You're in your home, you've got a lot of places you can explore, and really give it all you've got. You're not pumping it, you're just pushing, and you're counting to 12, and then release, and see how much range of motion and how much release you have in those muscles that support your heavy head. Now, let's get our alignment integrated from our feet. It all starts at the feet. So your feet are straight forward, knees relaxed, hip bones facing forward, not poking out. And then your last 2 ribs are in line vertically with those hip bones. So your last 2 ribs are not thrust forward, they're not back, they're just right. And find those ribs, and you can draw a straight line right down to that sticky outy part of your pelvis. And then that's going to make your head do weird things, because that's probably not how you've been standing. And then get into your head ramp, which means that instead of being like this or like that, you put your finger on your chin, go straight back. Not up, not down. Yes, you will have double chins. And if you have double chins, you know you're doing it right. If you're looking straight ahead and you have double chins, you've got it. That's the head ramp. And then when you're walking along, those cervical vertebrae are opened up, and you can look around and walk with much greater balance and ease. I have a prop today I want you to see. This is a coat hanger. Now, one of the cues in Alexander technique about the head is up and slightly forward. I think of a cobra, you know? So I'm going to shift a little bit here. There. So up and slightly forward. And that aligns your spine, and you'll have the alignment of the jawline parallel with the floor. And when you have to reach forward, you reach from the hips, not that, because that's going to hurt, because you're putting pressure on the space between the vertebra at the back of your neck. So think about that. A coat hanger, actually a coat hanger is kind of designed like our body. Look at this. This is our shoulder girdle. Here's our neck, our spine, and here's the head. Now it does not go quite over as far as we might because it has to go over the rod, but you get the idea. And notice at the bottom, it has a little extra reinforcement here. That's like your pelvic girdle. So all of this is supported by the base. And then of course we have legs and feet because we are mobile and we need to keep moving. I'm going to show you one more quick little thing that I'm going to post. So you know where your spine ends up in your head. Way up in your head. Right about in here, kind of behind your eyes. So that's like the axis. And so when you turn your head and you look, you use your eyes, then you are rotating on that axis in a natural way. And when you do something in a natural way, you're much safer. So having that aligned body, feet, relaxed knees, pelvis aligned with those last two ribs vertically aligned with your hips, shoulder girdle and your ears right over your shoulder. Isn't she adorable? She hasn't been in quarantine, or she'd have a little bit more meat on her bones, I believe. So being aware of how you do what you do, so that as you're moving about, going on your walks and doing your daily exercises, this is not a once a week thing. So as you're walking, if you notice you're walking along like this because you're feeling kind of down in the dumps, notice you're your unconscious personal trainer and align and morph into that alignment. You will actually feel better physically, mentally, and emotionally because you are not compromising your lungs and your cardiovascular system, your digestive system, all of the systems of your body. And you're not coming home with, oh, my back hurts, my shoulders hurt, I'm not going to walk anymore. Nope. You're not going to walk like that anymore. You are going to use that as a practice. So walking along, feet pointing straight ahead. Walking backwards is a good way to realign, but be sure you're in a safe place or you have someone with you to spot for you. Walking sideways is a good way to improve your balance. Walking sideways. So you can take your walk half a block sideways, half a block with the other side, then straight ahead for a block, then backwards for a block. I'm sure Bill, Gail do that all the time, right? Yeah. Be sure you have somebody with you in a clear path. So how you think about what you're doing has a lot to do with how we move. So functional fitness and strength and balance are not just a once a week exercise. It's everyday body awareness. You are moving, sitting and standing, turning and looking at someone. Those are exercises. They count. Every movement counts. So before I leave you for today, we're going to do a little bit of a stretch. Our back of the leg stretch. Let me shift this a bit so you can see me in case you've never done this class before. And you press your back heel down and straighten the back leg. Lift the heel on the forward foot and let your body weight help to lengthen the muscles in the back of your leg. Your hamstrings, your calf muscles, and the front of your thigh. Count to 30 when you do that. And then change over to the other side. Take a giant step back, press the back heel down, lift the heel on the forward foot, and it'll kind of be like a lunge, but the back leg is perfectly straight and the heel is pressing into the floor. Your hips are straight ahead and your spine is aligned. And you'll feel the stretch. You'll feel it in your ankle, your foot, your calf. Do not do this with shoes on. Have your shoes off. All right, let's come back in our final little kind of hang exercise. Oh, relax your knees. Hang your head. Get all the busyness out of it. And dangle your arms. Let your neck get long. Then when you start to come up, bend your knees, push into the floor, and your chin comes up last. Reach for the top of the door. Reach high. And then relax your arms and shake it out. Shake it all out. Shake it up, baby. All right, so that's our ending. I read something. I'm in... I get the word of the day. Every day I get the word of the day. I loved this word. I think I can use this in a sentence. Most often I can't. The word is situteria. Situteria. It's a Scottish word. Does anybody know what a situteria is?
Yeah. Some kind of city.
Oh, well, somebody does know. Oh, it is. So you could say, oh, I think I'll go out into the citateria and read a book.
I think I'll do that too.
Why don't we all? Let's all go to the citateria and have some lemonade.
Yes.
And chat. That is a small building where people can sit outside.
So.
Situteria. I'll post that. I think that's a great word. That word of the day. You know, some of them are ridiculous, never used in a sentence, but I'm going to use that. I already did. All right. Everybody feel good? You did your movements, and you're going to be your unconscious personal trainer for a week. All right. Now don't forget, you've got a list of exercises to do to warm up. And then you've got body awareness movements to do. Hey, you live in that body. You got plenty of time to work on it right now. All right, everybody take a deep breath in. No, smell the moment. Bring your hands together right here. Give yourselves a hand. Yay.
Great job.
Great job.